Alright guys, Chance Escom here, Calipump, and today I'm going to go over why I think Big Ramy should have won the 2017 Mr. Olympia. So we're just going to go through the poses here and I'm going to give you guys my insight. So, in my opinion, Phil Heath was a lot more ripped. I wouldn't say it was even like a conditioning thing. I think Big Ramy's body fat was pretty much as low as Phil Heath's, but I just think the type of muscle Phil Heath has a lot more striations and cuts and density and everything like that. Now, in my opinion, if you want to be smaller and more cut and more aesthetic and have a better body than someone who's bigger than you, that's fine. I think that's a classic toss-up, the bigger guy versus the better guy. Now, in a lot of ways, Phil Heath was better, but in my opinion, if you want to be the better guy, you have to have a smaller waist. You can't be trying to play the aesthetics game or the conditioning game or the detail game or any sort of those games if you have a bigger waist. Now, if you have a smaller guy and a bigger guy, and usually the bigger guy has a bigger waist, that's close. Everyone, there's the smaller guy who was more ripped, more cut, more shredded, and there's the bigger guy who has a bigger bloated waist and not as much detail, and that's close. That's always close. But you cannot be the smaller guy and have a bigger waist than the bigger guy. That just it doesn't even make sense. If you're the smaller guy and you have a bigger waist than the bigger guy, in my opinion, you don't deserve to win. I think the Big Ramy was, it's still bodybuilding. Everyone wants to talk about this, that, and the other, but it's still bodybuilding. If you're giving up 70 pounds of muscle to someone who has a smaller waist than you, it's over. You know what I mean? It's just done with. People say that Phil Heath won some of the back shots, and when it's like Big Ramy was just so much bigger than him, had so much more muscle than him, it was crazy. And then you throw in the waistline on top of that. I don't know how anyone thinks that Phil Heath should have won. I think that if Phil Heath would have came in with a nice, small, cinched up, tight waist, it would have been really close. I think that, okay, that's close, right? Big guy versus small guy, but you just can't be the smaller guy and have a bigger waist. It just doesn't work like that. And people want to talk about, oh, Ronnie Coleman had a big gut, so did Dorian, all these guys, but they were always the bigger guys. Ronnie Coleman was bigger than everybody, so was Dorian. So if you want to be the bigger guy and, you have a big waist because you're bigger than everyone, that's fine. But if you want to try to play this, being the smaller and then having a bigger waist, it just doesn't make sense to me.